Cookie or Mrs. Cookie, and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you about my teaching tips for teaching music on a cart or in a non-traditional teaching situation. So I have taught for 10 years and I've been very, very fortunate in that most of my 10 years have been in classrooms. But there have been times when I've been on a cart or not even given a cart and just told to hop on over from classroom to classroom. That was fun. And I've even taught in the teacher's lounge. Now that one in particular, people usually give me questions about, so I will take a minute to just explain that one. Because that school had grown so much, they needed to use the music room as a general classroom. And so the teachers were kind enough to say, okay, our teacher's lounge is big, so we'll take the kitchen area and you can teach music in the back area. So they got me one of those accordion style dividers where it like rolls out and you can bend it different ways. Now it did not go all the way to the ceiling and it did not go all the way to the floor. So there was a lot of sound issues, but it was nice to have like a permanent home base where I could have out the instruments that we needed and not have to switch everything out all the time. So we went with it. It was also nice for those teachers because yes, although they had to give up some privacy in their lounge, they preferred that to having to give up their prep time in their classroom. So that was what was important to them, and that's fine. So there were some issues with it, of course, like you could hear teachers talking, lots of doors opening and closing and things like that, getting lots of distractions through like the microwave going off and kids going, "Oh, I smell broccoli," or whatever it is. So it was kind of tough, but it was really sweet of those teachers to give up that lounge space so that I could have a little home base. And I did decorate that half of the lounge. I put up different posters we could use, hand signs, had out the instruments on the shelves back there, and tried to make it as classroom-like as possible. And you know, there's other teaching situations I've had to do, teaching in the gym sometimes. And again, it's all about just creating a little hub for yourself in those non-traditional spaces. So having a spot where you have your piano or your guitar or stereo, and having a spot where you place your purse and teacher bag and all that out of the way, and a container full of your manipulatives, just so that you can feel a little bit grounded before your lesson. It's also much easier for classroom management if you have it set up in a way where you seem confident in how to quickly access everything you need, because you won't have those interruptions, those delays, and the kids get more in that mindset of, okay, this is a learning environment. She's ready to go, or they are ready to go. Okay. Now, if this is your first time on a cart, I'm sorry, I know it's not ideal, but you can do it. And the first thing I have to say to you is you need to embrace the cart. As I said, nobody thinks about, I can't wait to go from room to room on a cart. It's just not what we picture when we decide to become a music teacher. That being said, sometimes it's necessary, and especially now with COVID going on, even if you have your own classroom, you might need to leave it behind for #CartLife. So embrace the change and take it as an opportunity to really work on other aspects of your teaching. So I have a tendency to I end up getting in the weeds with decorating. And at the beginning of each year, I kind of like nest. and do too much in decorating my classroom because I like it and it brings me some calm. And then I don't have as much time to focus on making preparations for the curriculum or creating manipulatives. Well, if you're on a cart, you don't have that distraction. So that is a positive of being on a cart, is that you can focus completely on teaching and you don't have a space to set up or clean and tear down at the end of each day. So you have saved that time for yourself. It actually does add up quite a bit. I've noticed, because I was at one point at one school where I was on a cart and another school where I had a classroom. And I definitely spent more time taking care of my classroom than I did having to switch things on my cart. So there's that. Also, just accepting that you're going to be on a cart will help you help your mindset stay more positive so that you can think of more ideas. If you are open to it, more creativity will flow through you. Now, once you've embraced your cart or other situation, it is time to make it your own. So decorate that cart or decorate that space if you can. Find out what limitations you have and work around those. So if you are going to set up in a little corner, maybe you have your portable whiteboard or whatever it is, and you can like put a little border around it, make it happy in your own, or stick a little vinyl decal on it with a special saying to you. If you have a cart, maybe you can hang some garland, like the dollar spot from Target stuff that's really cute. You could definitely hook that up with some like 3M hooks or those battery pack lights. Those are super cute. And just make it fun. Make it a positive space for you and for the kids. I know that they wish that they could be in a classroom that is devoted just to music. But if you go in and you roll in with your cart of fun, that'll still bring joy to them. And they will still think, okay, this is a new situation. This is now music class. Now, another thing to do is to organize your cart in a way that it is most functional to you. So that might take a little time. You might have to switch that around throughout the year. That's totally fine. But make sure that you have a hub for all of your really frequently used stuff. Now, I like to use an apron, and I will link my blog post about how I use my teacher apron down below. But that is where I store all my frequently used things. If you don't use a teacher apron, you're going to want a little organizer on the top part of your cart, or even you could tie your teacher apron to, you can attach that to your cart as a little hanging pocket thing. That would be really cool. Anyway, have something there for things that you need a lot, like presentation remote, your music. Like I have like a little Bluetooth stereo, a little like speaker, and my phone right in there, some dry erase markers, just some things that I need more regularly. Tuning fork, things like that. Have those ready to go by you. You always have them in the same spot, because if you are not putting it back in the same spot every time, you're going to get to lunch one day and realize, where is my clicker? Which of the 5 classrooms I was in this morning did I leave my clicker in? So definitely make sure that you are putting everything back in its same spot every time. And that's why I just use the apron, because it's much easier to just have it on me, reach in, get it, use it, put it back. Anyway, another important thing to do is that you should look at the classrooms you're going to be teaching in. So contact those teachers and ask if you can take a look around, maybe take some photos or videos so that you can remember the layout and what you have available to you in each classroom or grade level. You might have access to smartboards in all your classrooms, yay, or Chromebooks or something like that. But it is important to note where you do not have those things, or where the layout is going to be a little funky for you and you'll have to do some reimagining, because you'll want to think about that ahead of time and not in the middle of your lesson, right? I mean, ideally. So take those photos or videos, take note of what things look like. Now, if you are looking at this video in the future in non-COVID times, first of all, I'm jealous. Second of all, you also have the option of looking and seeing, okay, well, where would I want to move some desks around and create a space for movement? I know that during our COVID times, we cannot do that. We want the desks far apart and evenly spaced and the kids not touching. But if you are lucky enough to be out of this fun situation we find ourselves in, then you can also come up with a game plan with those teachers too. Okay, this will be our procedure, that when we come into music class, these tables here or this row over there, we'll shift everything over here. And then at the end of class with 2 minutes to spare, we move everything back. And you can even assign jobs to the kids so that they know music's about to start, move it. Another thing to keep in mind is that when you create your lessons, it is good to have an area on the side for materials needed. So in every lesson I create, I have a little checklist on the side where I put bullet points of what materials I'm going to need for actually doing this lesson. When you do that, then you can look through all your materials and get them ready in the cart. Another good thing to do is then make it into a checklist so that before you leave that classroom, you can say, okay, we used those, it's back in the cart. We used the drums, they're back in the cart. And make sure that you have everything back with you so that you don't need to go rolling around looking for it later. When you are using manipulatives, it is very, very helpful to use as few as possible. Use manipulatives that can be used for lots of different things. So one thing that I like to use are bingo chips. Right now they are a lot easier to clean because they're just, little plastic discs, and those can be used to plot melodies. They can be used to show iconic rhythm, and of course other things like playing instrument bingo, things like that. So I like using things that can be used for all kinds of versatile situations. For the same reason, dry erase is my friend. So I keep dry erase markers and then little squares of cut up like black felt for the erasers. And I have staff cards that are on cardstock with the 5-line staff on one side and the 3-line staff on the other side for prepare versus present and practice, and they are laminated. So then I can just pass out, each kid gets a staff card, a dry erase marker, and a piece of felt, and they are good to go. And I do the same thing with beat charts, one side with hearts, the other side with just lines to signify the beats, and that's really easy because I can use those with any grade level. And I can't state enough how important it is to use those resources over and over and over again, because otherwise your cart is too full and you're having to go back and switch everything out throughout the day, and that's unnecessary. Not everything needs to be cute all the time, and that is something that I had to learn for myself. And it really is going to be okay. It's going to be okay if they are putting out the rhythm for Los Pollitos and you are not using your little chick mini erasers that you usually use. It's okay. You're going to want to make the situation a lot simpler for you and for the kids by just using the same kinds of manipulatives over and over again in this situation. Another great thing for that is to use digital resources. Now, a lot of schools have become one-to-one for their tech. So if I were to go from classroom to classroom in my district now, all the kids have some kind of device, mostly Chromebooks, I think. So that means that if I were to go classroom to classroom, I could say, okay, our composition project is at this link and projected on their board, and they can open it up in Google Slides and each do their own project without having to pass out anything, touch anything, or clean anything. So I do digital composing or drag and drop composing for that. So that is my workaround for having, you know, how I like to have like my little mini eraser compositions, or different pictures for the different seasons that I cut out, and they could do like apple, pumpkin, leaf, or whatever the rhythm was that they wanted to compose. So I use the drag and drop composing. I will link that down below if you want to check it out, as well as a blog post all about how I use that. Another thing to keep in mind is that you will want a hub for yourself. So if you do have a classroom and you're just not using it because of COVID, then that's taken care of for you already, right? You can set up in the morning and do your lesson planning and your prep time in your own classroom. Wonderful. If not, you're going to want to find that spot. I think it's very important that you advocate for yourself with that. When I was at a school where I did not have my own classroom, I told the principal, I said, I need a spot where I can lock up my purse, and I need a spot where I can lesson plan. And they understood, like, you're still a teacher and you still have those same needs. And so they got me a little area in the workroom where I could just lock up my purse, and I could just constantly keep my lesson plan stuff right there. And if you do not have that, and your admin is not as supportive as they should be in that, find a teacher friend who has a space that they will be okay with you sharing that space with them. Otherwise, I have also eaten lunch in my car when I didn't have a classroom, and that wasn't ideal either, but the one positive of it is that I got to kind of like check out, just mentally decompress before going back in. So even though this situation is far from ideal, there are some positives, and you will become a better teacher because of this, because you will be able to focus on the actual instruction and just become a better teacher through this adversity. So embrace your cart life and happy teaching.